So like if there's no straight answer on this, don't worry. But I'm just curious based on your experience. Do you think there's something in the makeup of somebody that wants to go into the military that gives them that edge is perhaps the wrong word, but that hunger is a word you reference of to do the very best, to progress. Is that a trait that kind of shines out for you, or is that just a coincidental thing?
No, I think there is truth in that, Chris. I joined the Navy to get out of the town, in part. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of factors that go into those decisions, but in part, to get out of the city that I grew up in. It was a kind of a steel town, industrial town, and there was really, if you weren't going to work in the steel mill, there was really nothing for you there. Now there were a bunch of other factors as well, but a lot of people join the military for similar reasons because the opportunity for them isn't there unless they go into the industry of the town, whether it's coal mining or something like that. So I do think there's the folks that do join generally, and we're talking statistically here, not just 100%, have more hunger, have more eagerness and because they're willing to overcome greater challenges. Because it's a challenge when you first join the military to get through basic training and things like that. That's not true when you join IBM, or BAE, or anybody like that.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that there is that hunger that doesn't exist, and that hunger is self-filtering because basically everybody they filtered themselves by joining, and so the
yeah,
employer knows you're going to get a certain degree of you know um, eagerness out of that employee that you might not just somebody off of the street.
yeah. I think there's something in that again, it's these little nuanced elements of the conversation, which is
Mhm.
why I enjoy these long form conversations because it's these things that we may not think about as seriously. You've been super gracious with your time, Bill, and full transparency, I completely messed up our timings by getting the difference between the two different summer times wrong. So, incredibly gracious of your time. I've got one
Thank you
last
very
question
much.
if I can squeeze it in, and
Sure.
it's what I'm looking to establish really and truly. I suppose what we've done in the last hour or so is we've identified some of the challenges that service organisations will have and veterans will have in aligning together. How we bring those rules together, and we've also kind of identified some of the real benefits, both from a pragmatic point of view from industry and also touching on some of these leadership areas. Um, I suppose my final question is based around again thinking of the audience we have here, those guys that are watching this and ladies that are watching this, that are thinking, okay, how do what's the first process we want to do if we want to not just court an employee from the veteran sector, but we want to do it effectively. And do you think that there needs to be some kind of, how can I phrase it, a translator? Does there need to be some conduit? Like, we can first of all direct everyone to your book, which will make sure there's links below, and we'll touch on that just before we close out. But having somebody in the team, and I've seen this once or twice, having somebody in the team, in the executive team, that's got an active role in making that pathway from military to private organisation. Do you think that's a critical piece of the puzzle again? Do you think that's the missing cog that a lot of companies have? Or do you think we can move past without having somebody specific in there by just educating ourselves as private organisations how to do this better?
Yeah, my answer is going to be a yes, but, Chris,
Yeah,
because
okay.
you need somebody who can be the translator, like you described, who can help the company and the employee straddle that gap between what the veteran knows when he joins and what the veteran needs to know in order to succeed. However, here's the yes, but. The companies generally hire the wrong person to be that translator. They hire somebody who's a veteran, but really did nothing remarkable in industry. So they think they know more than they do about how to succeed. They've never actually succeeded themselves in industry. And they can sometimes be more dangerous, more harmful than good when they lead the veteran down the wrong path. Because, and again, this is one of those pieces of advice I give to veterans: be careful who you get advice from. Veterans tend to talk to people who have recently transitioned to industry. That's the wrong person. Talk to somebody who's 5 or 10 years post-transition, who have shown some success, who knows what they're talking about and has succeeded. Because the person who's recently transitioned will give you bad advice. Similarly, an employee who the company has hired to be that translator can often give bad advice, and the company never knows it's happening.
Yeah.
Because they're not monitoring it, because they assume the person understands when they don't. And so, yeah, I do believe the translator position is very, very valuable, but make sure you're using the right person. It has to be somebody senior enough that they could reach decision makers to incorporate policy decisions to improve the probability of success of those veteran employees.